Specialist medtech company Angle has announced that the results of Barts Cancer Institute's ongoing work with Angle's Parsortix system have provided evidence in support of the use of Parsortix in the detection and the assessment of prostate cancer. CEO Andrew Newland is joining me now. You're in Hamburg. What are you doing there, Andrew?
Good morning, Juliet. Well, I'm attending the 10th ISMRC International Symposium on Minimal Residual Cancer. We're having a great time here, been all over the weekend, and today we've had a number of really good presentations and posters from Angle's key opinion leaders and some of our customers, so all on different aspects of our Parsortix system. But obviously the big news is the prostate cancer that we're going to talk about now.
It is big news, isn't it? This is a bit of a breakthrough. Talk me through it.
Well, our key opinion leader, Barts Cancer Institute, has been working now for 18 months with our Parsortix system. We previously announced that they'd had some initial good results, and what's been announced today is actually the conclusions of their study work in relation to prostate cancer. And what they've identified is that our system can be used with a simple blood test for detection of prostate cancer. And what's more, and in fact, which is the real game changer, is it looks like we'll be able to use our system to identify the stage of progression of the individual's disease, which is a very important factor.
It is big news. Just explain to viewers who are not all caught up how the Parsortix system works. What's special about it?
Well, what the Parsortix system does is it allows the user to run blood through our patented cassette. And that's got some very cleverly designed steps which can capture cancer cells in the patient blood, which are larger than and less compressible than the other blood cells, than the blood cells. And as a result of that, of course, you wouldn't have cancer cells in your bloodstream unless you had cancer. So what that means is that men with a raised prostate PSA level and or enlarged prostate could have a blood test, and from that work out whether they've got the disease. And much more importantly, to determine whether or not they actually need any treatment, because in fact, over half of the, it's amazing, in fact, that 90% of the people who have a biopsy for potential prostate cancer do not actually need any treatment.
Wow. But look, are we talking about an alternative way of testing or replacement for the current gold standard? I'm just trying to gauge what the implications are here.
Yes, of course. The current gold standard is either a digital rectum examination or a PSA test. A PSA test is a blood test looking for a blood marker called, it's the prostate-specific antigen known as PSA. And the thing about that is, although it is the gold standard, unfortunately it has a lot of problems with false positives, which means it's got low specificity. And in other words, the PSA level can be high for lots of reasons which are nothing to do with having prostate cancer. And that, and to determine whether the patient actually does have prostate cancer, the only thing to do is a very nasty invasive biopsy. And as I mentioned, in the end, 90% of the people who have to go through that procedure don't actually need any treatment at the end of it.
So the benefits to patients and to healthcare professionals, like the innovation side of things, you've made that clear. Let's talk about what the benefits are to you, the business side of it. What does it mean for Angle?
Well, I mean, Angle's been working on developing the Parsortix system for over 10 years now. So this is a culmination of a tremendous amount of work. And as you know, we already have our first cancer application in ovarian cancer in clinical studies at the moment. What this potentially does is give us the opportunity for a second one. We've got to do some more investigation as to how to go forward with that, but we'd envisage various clinical studies before we could bring a product to market. And it's a much, much bigger market. We estimate at least £2 billion per annum opportunity, because it's a widespread cancer. Over 14% of men get diagnosed with prostate cancer at some time. There's 1.1 million new cases of prostate cancer every year. And for each one of those, there's a need for 10 tests to determine whether people might have it. And of course, the biggest challenge in prostate cancer is actually over-treatment. And what this technology does is it enables a watchful waiting approach, or so-called active surveillance, where the patient could be given a blood test every so often just to check what's the status. has their disease kept steady, or is it about to, sort of get worsened? So there's a tremendous opportunity here commercially, but obviously what we really want to do is to help the many men who will suffer from this in the future.
So really good news in terms of developing and assessing and the medical side of prostate cancer. Good news from the commercialisation point of view for Angle. You said that there's these next steps you're going to have to think about. They've got some consultation. You have to work out what you need to do, what clinical studies. But what are your next steps going forward? What's the plan?
Well, we're working with Barts Cancer Institute and most likely several other cancer institutes. These are really brand new results. I mean, I've only known this information for literally hours. But what we will do is sit down and very carefully work through how can we go about multi-centre clinical studies to demonstrate this on a robust way. And just to, I probably didn't say enough about the Gleason score. The way that you work out whether a prostate cancer needs treatment at the moment is morphological assessment. So basically, looking down a microscope, a pathologist will examine the tissue cut out from the solid prostate biopsy. And so it looks as though, by looking at the cancer cells that can be captured by our system, the mesenchymal cancer cells, which I just note that the other liquid biopsy solutions, almost all of them fail to get hold of cells, or mesenchymal cells in particular. So we're uniquely positioned to actually do this. But getting those cells out, it looks like it's actually a better measure of the aggressiveness of the cancer than the gold standard Gleason score. So anyway, so that gives us all sorts of interesting things to assess. But basically, the study would simply be to have blood tests from patients who are about to have a biopsy and Gleason score and confirm whether or not our system can actually do what I've been talking about. And if it can, then we'll be offering patients a simple blood test rather than this very, very nasty biopsy that they currently have to go through.
And a complicated process too. I mean, look, you've got an endorsement from this research. It's an endorsement of what you're doing. You've already spelled out some of the opportunity as well. What is the timeline, the best case timeline to commercialisation?
Well, as I say, we'll need to sit down and work this through, but I'm anticipating it will need at least 18 months of pretty robust study work in multiple centres, both here in Europe and in the United States. But all the signs are from the initial work that's been done by Barts that it's highly promising.
Highly promising. Well, look, I'll let you get back to the conference in Hamburg. That sounds like exciting times too, lots of networking and opportunities. But meanwhile, congratulations on this breakthrough, game-changing piece of research.
Thank you very much indeed, Juliet. Appreciate it.
Thank you.